Welcome to another edition of Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast. I'm your boy, Professional Son.
And I'm your boy, Chris G.
And it's your boy, The Ruck Report.
Today we got a special.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's family.
Wait, I ain't doing the introduction yet.
Yeah, you got to do that. We need a red carpet. We need bells and whistles. Listen, the best thing, T-White, we was going to have the girls from Zamunda come with the rose petals. They was charging a little bit too much today, so we ain't doing it.
I already had my shower, so I'm good.
Yeah. I ain't even going to go there.
This is live, and I want to stay married after this.
We live, baby.
Oh, we live, baby.
So we got one of the original Highland Wolves. He was the first, with his senior class, and with our sophomore class, we brought the chip back to New Haven. He went on to Sacred Heart to win a national championship. And then after that, he went on to do some great things. He's working in the Jets organization. Now he's at ESP in Bristol, Connecticut. Terrence Aloquacious White.
That's right. You gotta give it up for that. You gotta give it up for Aloquacious.
What's up, man? It's actually Terrence Williams now. I never made like a formal announcement, but like, so I had obviously you guys all know my name, Terrence White. That's my name. That's actually my mother's like name from marriage.
Okay.
And that was my name for years, but it was always like really important to my father that I have his last name, which is Williams. And so before I got married, I actually decided to change my last name to Williams. And it was actually kind of a cool thing because, my wife really loved her last name. And so it was kind of something that we were actually doing together. So that was, kind of a cool thing. But yeah, but I still go by T-White. Everybody that knows me, you know what I'm saying?
T-Whistle.
I'm glad you brought it up because I always was wondering why you and your brother had different last names.
Oh yeah.
And obviously,
he money back.
Shout out to Eric Williams. Shout out to him. But I was always wondering. I was just thinking that you guys had different fathers.
Yeah. No, we actually had different moms.
Okay, so that's what it was. All right.
Yeah, buddy.
So speaking of ESPN, Terrence, he hooked us up, man. We were able to been fortunate enough. My bad, Core. See, we live, baby.
We live, baby.
This is what we do. My bad.
Yeah, we watching the Pacers limp to the finish line. Bad news.
We gonna get into that.
Yeah.
So we gonna get into because I got a lot on my chest.
Yeah.
With that, so we definitely gonna get into that.
So before they start blasting my guys,
Jay, what up?
I just want to say, T-White, thank you for the opportunity.
Of a lifetime.
You see the pictures?
Yeah. So that's why the pictures up. That's why the
y'all see that
because we went to ESPN and we had a great time and we just want to thank you in front of everybody. We definitely appreciate your hospitality.
Definitely.
It was a lot going on there. Some good stuff. Yeah. But great stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it at that.
Yeah, we just gonna what happens at ESPN stays at ESPN.
Yeah, so we got
my girl.
Some dope stuff.
Kids, my 3 kids, but 2 kids with my girl.
Yeah, my headset is horrible, but it's all good. I'm still gonna rock it out. So
doing it.
One subject that I didn't touch on, I don't think none of us touched on during the week, was the whole Aaron Hernandez situation. I think that, I had actually what happened?
I don't know, buddy.
You cut it off?
I don't know.
But we live though.
I don't know, but we good.
I'm live.
We good.
So we good.
Yeah, you were straight. With the whole Aaron Hernandez situation, I had wrote up like a nice little blog about it. I have it out.
Big cuz, what up?
Afterwards. And, just basically talking about how, like, I was basically proud of this dude, man. You know what I mean? Seeing him come from, Bristol and represent Connecticut. And then he became a Florida Gator, which was even better.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to watch his demise, I mean, usually you'll see someone derail before their career or after. But to see someone in the pinnacle and height of their career, just like, do the thing that they did, it was just like shocking. And again, for everybody out there, T-White, he works for ESPN, so there's a lot of stuff he can't say. So we're gonna keep the clean version of it. But it was just a situation. It was sad. Again, he had family. His brother DJ, who's as a coach at Ledger now. He's the head coach for their football team.
Mm-hmm.
Just his parents and just many people that he had around him and that he really adored and not adored him. But just to see someone so young and to see their light flicker at such a unfortunate and untimely way, something that it's just like a movie, you know, because we were watching the whole OJ story, and I'm sure everybody's seen that. So we see OJ, but that was like 30 years after he, you know, retired. But to see somebody in their prime of their career, like T.Y., like how did you feel about the situation, you know, just with everything going on?
Well, I mean, so when that news hit, I'm a producer on Mike and Mike. And so at that time, we were prepping for our show. And so at the time that news comes across the wire, you know, pretty much it just takes the whole show that we had and, you know, throw it out. This is what we're doing now, right? So from that, it threw our whole day into a tizzy. Right. But from I'm kind of fortunate to have a little bit of a different perspective on this, and it's kind of similar to what you were saying, which is that, you know, one of, you know, my favorite producers that I work with at ESPN, you know, he's a guy who personally knows Aaron Hernandez or knew Aaron Hernandez, you know, coached him when he was in high school and stuff like that. And, you know, when I heard this news, you know, I thought about him. He was one of the first people that I thought about because it reminded me of, you know, the experience, you know, working for Leap, you know, and coaching and all of that stuff. And when you do these things, you know, sometimes you go back and you think about these kids that you work with.
And the moments you have with them.
Right. And you always just hope that they're doing great, you know. You don't always hear the greatest things, but, you know, the thing is that you always kind of believe in these kids and you always hope that they'll just get it figured out. You know, even if they, you know, go through some things, you know, we all know some people who have just had experiences that aren't necessarily, you know, the best, but have gotten it figured out. Right. And so as someone who, knowing someone who was close to him, I know that that's the way that he felt about him because that's the way that any of us have felt about young people that we kind of mentored a little bit. And so I just know that, there had to be a feeling of hurt because you just as I described that to you, I'm sure you guys all probably thought of at least one person that you knew. You're like, oh man, this guy was a knucklehead, but you have confidence that they'll get it figured out. You know, at least you hope they do. And just the feeling of the way that, you know, all that went down just, you know, just has to be, you know, a feeling of hurt. And so there's no shortage of places where you guys can go find people to, you know, talk about all the chances that Hernandez may have squandered and the opportunities that he had and all that stuff. And so, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of places where you guys can find that. But I think whenever you're going to talk about something, it's important to add something to the conversation, you know, rather than just your voice, right? So I just thought that was an interesting perspective to add to it, which is, you know, outside from the reality of the things that everybody's seeing on the news, is that, you know, when somebody commits suicide, the people that are hurt the most are the people that care about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, I mean, and that's just a little bit of the perspective there. And, yeah, I mean, that was just kind of like, you know, my biggest takeaways as far as the things about him as a football player. And to me, that stuff long gone out of, you know, whether or not, you know, anybody is really thinking about that. But I was just, because I know someone who was close to him, that made me confront the human side of it. And so that was my thoughts on it.
Wow.
So Chris and D-Rod, you know, when you guys heard about it, what was your take on it?
I think for me, you know, I look at, especially anybody that's ever played sports, you look at both sides of it. Right. You know, you look at your experience as an athlete and then you look at your experience as a person. So, of course, you go through the whole gamut of, well, I heard this and people said this and he was like that and then he did this. And so you go through that. I think the biggest takeaway that I've had since processing the whole thing is now I'm from a perspective of, and this isn't going to sound crazy, but this was a necessary evil for the generation that's coming up now. Because way too many times do we get examples from our culture that have survived our culture, that have made it to a point of success, and now they have that tragic fall. this is something that I know, and as we do when we work with kids, this is something that I now can point to say, okay, if you want to get to this level, these are all the other things that you have to be worried about, because sometimes our generation they don't get it, whether it was us, when we played, we was a little hard-headed. I'll just say me, because I was a little hard-headed, but we all know, just like T. White just said, we all know people that we hoped would get it together because their skill level and where they were had them on a position. If you're talking about the athletic side, before there was Gronk, there was Aaron Hernandez. Right. Before there was Jordan Reed, there was Aaron Hernandez. Before there was Jimmy in Seattle, I don't even want to say his last name no more because he wasn't this Jimmy superstar in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. But before there were those guys, it was him. So that in itself puts it in another light. The human side also is going to want you to feel for him. I feel for the families that were affected in it, especially the people, unfortunately that were, taken in this whole tragedy too. I feel for his daughter. And I feel for just the fact that the pictures that you see now on Facebook are all of him blowing kisses at her while he's in court. And you never, can underestimate the impact of a father in the household. Mm-hmm. So that's what I took away from it. But, the other thing too is the mad part is that I'm tired of us always having to be the example. Mm-hmm. Like, when are we going to get it together? Because this sparked the conversation I was having with somebody at work, and I gave him the example of like Nate Newton. Here it is, you a Super Bowl champion, you riding around with a dummy made of weed, and the only thing that you could think of to say to the cop and the judge when he got arrested, was, well, y'all know who I am, right? I'm Nate Newton. It takes me to think about Michael Irvin. Think about Titus Young. I watched something on YouTube where they showed the video of his sentencing. That boy was crying like his mama just beat, like it was a third grade cry. But it was like, you was the hardest gangster in the world but you an NFL wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Fresh out of college, got a nice contract. You want to be a cartel leader? Really? Come on, man.
That's crazy. A lot of it kind of goes back to like, I think one of the things that should happen when these kids are in these schools, making all these monies for these universities, they should get trained. They should get two things. They should get media training, and they should get financial training, right? Because the thing is that a lot of these kids may or may not realize this. But I mean, listen, when you're in school, even if you're at a Division II, Division III school, everybody thinks they're going to the NFL. Right? It is what it is, right?
Yep.
And so the thing is, whether you make it to the league or not, at some point you're going to have to get a job. At some point you're going to have to get a job. And I can't think, almost nobody makes enough money while playing that you don't ever have to work or do anything again. Because bills are going to keep coming in the mail to the day you die. So you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to pay, you know what I mean? You're going to have to know how to manage your money. And that's one of the things that's just about real life and being an adult that I think a lot of these kids, it just doesn't hit them, right? They're thinking about like, I'm gonna be a football player forever, and I've always been treated special because I'm a football player. I got passed through school. I've gotten out of parking tickets, speeding tickets, all that because of, do you know who I am? Right?
There you go.
And so I think that there's just a lot of it is, people get so mad when you talk about kids being exploited because they're getting a free education and all this other stuff. But the reality is that these universities are moving these kids, and not just universities, a lot of the high school systems, you know what I mean? They're just moving these kids along. I read a story one time from a professor at, I think it was Florida State, and he wrote about how he had kids who had, like fifth grade reading levels and stuff like that. That kid had no business being in college. Right? So he had been failed by multiple people by the time he got into that situation. And you want this kid to put up the facade of I'm here to be a student? Yeah. Come on. Come on. So there's a cycle of usury that goes around, like crazy.
Yeah, and it's true.
Right. And so the bottom line is that these kids should come out of these programs with some preparation for life, right? Like that's.
I'm sorry, but I really the name and the image that keeps flashing in my head, and we joked about it all last year, but it's like look at Lawrence Jackson. Action Jackson from Louisville. Quarterback, okay. Right? He gets on his first interview. Lamar Jackson from Louisville, quarterback. Right? First interview he get on, he say, well, how did you just had an amazing game and blah, 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 blah. Man, free Kodak Black.
Free Kodak.
What? Are you serious? And then you worried about, now you talking about, oh, people don't think I can play in the NFL. What did you just say, though? So it ain't what position you go. Yo, free Kodak Black. The hell don't want to see when they go. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, this dude got roaches on his head. Oh, come on, man. Like, and this is what we always talked about, and we had the argument before. We talked about when Kevin Garnett said the whole AAU thing. But again, it goes back to that because what are our kids really getting to even prepare them? Because now, it's not even that you can wait till you get to college. They need media training now in high school.
Yeah, 100%.
Listen, I'm definitely going to touch on that, but I had wanted to get Chris' point about Hernandez before we move forward.
Nah, you don't want my point.
Give it to him, Chris.
Come on, Chris. Yo,
grind your gears, Chris.
And T. White is a brother. You know what I mean? A brother in arms from back in the day. You got to go back to ESPN, so I don't got nothing to say.
Well, America on next week's show.
I'll just say I'm not with y'all in the least.
Okay, but could you explain why?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Listen,
we got Chris lost for words.
Yeah, he's not. He's trying to get the double point SAT words right.
I want to say this as
PC.
Yeah,
I don't want to say PC, but I want to say this as gentle as possible. Listen, I know that Aaron Hernandez is, that story is tragic, and I feel for his wife and his little baby girl. I got one on my own. Mm-hmm. I know her. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I know it got her. And I know he's being kind of looked at as an example of a role maybe that you shouldn't go down. Mm-hmm. And all of that stuff being
said. Scott, what up?
I deplore suicide. Aside from my religious beliefs about a suicide, you could put that all the way to the side. I believe suicide is a weak move. And as far as anybody who knows me, something that I told my girl, I said, yo, if somebody says that I committed suicide, they lying. Yeah. They lying because that's how much I hate suicide. And the thing that kind of irks me about Aaron Hernandez is it was a tragic story. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You wound up in jail. All of that. I get that. But once you wanted to be the gangster when you was free. You want, that's what you wanted to be. Mm. You walked around like that, you talked like that, and obviously you put forth the actions to wind you up in jail. So obviously that's what you wanted to be. And then you got there and you didn't put up your big boy pants and you took the easiest way out. Now, I know people are saying that maybe it's because, getting the NFL pension and now,
the contract
Patriots owe, your family the money that should have went to you and all of that stuff. And maybe he did do it. But if I do a crime, I'm going to do my time. I'm going to pull up my pants and I'm going to do whatever my sentence is. If it's life, well, then we in here for life. And I'm going to try to make the best of it. But I don't feel the same sympathy for him that maybe that you guys are feeling or that some other people feel.
I don't think we felt sympathy. I think that when you look at the tragic story of everything that unfolded, as far as people that he touched, everything that happened. Again, we're not giving him a pass on what he did.
No, I know you're not giving him a pass. And if it come off like that, I don't believe that you guys are giving him a pass. Maybe more looking at his story as a cautionary tale. Yeah. For people not
caution,
to go down.
That's a don't go.
But I feel what Chris is saying too, because again, this is a lot of times how we, and this is something that we do as a culture a lot of times too. We let people off the hook too easily, and agreeing with Chris is saying is the fact that these are the things and these are the actions that led you. It wasn't just when you got to the NFL, right? Because it's well documented that you was the gangster at Florida. You know, when you was really like this, you was telling people, listen, I get it in. So,
but no need to.
No need to.
Was set for you.
It was no need for any of it.
Given ability, you didn't have to go down that path. That was a call that he made as a man, that I wanted to go down this route. So then in the same hand, if you're going to make that call as a man, you need to have the self accountability to
stand up and face it.
Stand up and face it. I'm all for that. Right. Self accountability.
Yeah. And we need that.
That type of stuff.
Now playing devil's advocate again, like I'm just playing devil's advocate. So now again, you have a young man again. I can't say that he was a man when he was in league. He still was young. You have a young man who loses his father in junior high school, right? So now again, I was fortunate enough, and I'm sure we were, not to lose a parent in high school. Because that would have been a real detriment to either one of us. Yeah. Then again, like you pointed out too, everybody's letting him go. Now, if he's the golden goose, and everybody say, okay, well, yeah, go ahead. Now he get to Florida. Nobody's holding him accountable. Now he gets to the league. Who's really going to hold him accountable? You know what I mean? But
see, I think there's two different sides that you have to look at that. Athletes and we as former athletes know that whatever sometimes that we put on the field, there was a coach that let us go and do certain things. But for that one coach that let us go, there was always two or three that really cracked the whip. There was really somebody that cracked the whip. So I'm not buying that, because I heard all the stories that this was his mindset. This is what he wanted to do. Right. This was the edge he wanted to carry.
That's kind of like that's where, this kind of where I was coming from with the knowing somebody who was close to him thing, is that when you think of like the people that you may have mentored, the young people that you may have mentored throughout your life, the reality that we all deal with in that situation is that at some point they're going to grow up and make their own decisions. Right. And you still feel, because you're always kind of going to see them as the kid that you knew them as. And so you're just, when you hear about them going through that rough thing, you're like, because you're still thinking about it. But the reality is that they're adults. And they gotta make and live with their decisions that they make as adults. And so, that's just the tough part about it. And, kind of similar to what you guys were saying, it's like this, for people who are at like those elite levels, right? Like, I mean, we played sports, but we weren't like at this level. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if Chris played running back, when I was blocking for him, he would have had that 2,000 yards.
Easy.
You know what I mean? Everybody heard about that 2,000 yards.
Shut up,
Liz. Chris elite.
Maybe he did that, with my senior year, and maybe you would have been. You wouldn't be sitting here with us right now. You know what I mean? But
God is good
all the time.
But there's a whole system for those athletes who are at that elite level. Yeah. If somebody ever wrote a book about the things that happen on recruiting business, you know what I mean? And all just all the stuff. You know what I mean?
I just want to write a few about the places I went to.
right.
Shout out to Hampton University.
We all saw he got game. Okay. Yeah. All right.
But
that's special treatment. Yeah. Village trouble for it now.
But there's another point too, and shout out to Craig Robinson, my big bro. Sports show that. Yeah, he got his sports cast. But he was saying again a point that some people can't really jump to make is nobody knows what it is to be in prison unless you have been there. Yeah. So I get that too. But my thing is this: you could tell the mindset didn't change, because when he got to prison, he was doing everything that he was doing outside. He fighting, he black, what up? He doing all that. So again, I don't understand where the change came into, because for me, you have you get the acquittal on the double murder, which opens the grounds for appeal.
Right.
Then there are all these other things that are coming. Was it about the money? Was it about getting the money from the Patriots? Right? Was it about the Massachusetts state law that says if you're still in jail and you commit suicide, your record is totally expunged? So is it not about the families now being able to sue your family or your state civilly? What is it about? But again, at the end of the day, you went to, and I think it was, if you get off of the double murder and then appeal, they could probably get you out. What really caused that? Did it happen like that? So that's where I think all the speculation comes in, and it makes it hard to fight the battle for him because you hear so much about the bad side.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the reality is, right, like, we'll never know, right?
Yeah.
True.
But, you know, one saying that I always go by when it comes to just pretty much anything is that you never know what you can do until you have to do it.
Yeah.
And
there it is.
I think that's a saying that applies to, like, anything in life. Like, you might think, I could never fight a bear with my bare hands, but you never know what you would have to do if you had to
better help that bear.
Right. So,
Revenant all day.
You know what I'm saying?
And I just think that's just in general in life. Like, we can always look at things and, you know, say, you know, I was watching, I think it was 2020 the other night, and they had Caitlyn Jenner on there. And there's so many things about that I don't understand, but I respect the fact that I don't understand it. You know what I mean?
Fair.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, I may feel how I feel about your personality and who you've been publicly to this point, but this specific thing that you're dealing with,
I don't know.
I can't imagine how I would feel if that was going through my head, right? So I respect the fact that that's something that I don't know. And I just think, like I said, that's just a rule that I go by, is that, you know, just, you know, given a particular situation that somebody's facing, like, you know, you never know. You know, unless you were really in that situation, how you might react. So, you know, we can always look at something and say, hey, I don't think I would have done that. And you may not think you would have done that, right? But you just never know. So that's just words to live by.
It's tough.
Quick question. Quake Robinson, he's on your live feed.
Yeah.
And he said what now about
He said, you know, basically if somebody has never been to prison, you can't say, you know, that's what he shouldn't have done. Because you don't know what goes on in there.
That he shouldn't have killed himself? I can say that you can't. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. Like, I understand the point that he's trying to make, but there's nothing that you can tell me where you can justify suicide. Me. Unless it's Walking Dead out here and you're getting ate up by a bunch of zombies and you just want to make it a little easier about yourself. If you want to justify it that way, by all means, go justify it. But you're not going to
pull a pin on the grenade, Chris.
Pull a pin on the grenade. But you're not going to say, well, you know, it was tough, so, you know, that's a way out. Yeah, it's a way out. It's a sucker way out. Any type of suicide to me is a sucker way out. So, I mean, that's just a true, there's a reason why there's such a stigma on suicide. I mean, I love myself way too much to kill myself. That's probably like one thing about it. But I mean, I don't see where you could justify, you know, like you could justify suicide in any manner. Personal opinion.
Cool. So does anybody have any final words?
I just want to see how you want to try to bring this all back around for the Cavs. That's what I'm waiting on.
So anyway,